Hello, All-Star listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable, presented by All-Star Veterinary Clinic, the podcast where we answer your veterinary-related questions and have some fun along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice, and if you have any feedback to offer to improve the Veterinary Roundtable, please let us know. On today's episode, we have myself, head veterinarian Dr. Emily King, veterinary technician Courtney Vaughn, room assistant and breakfast snack Devin Fortune, a.k.a. Pop-Tart. And my interim co-host and up-and-coming distance runner, head of surgery, Allie McQuarrie.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo, whoop. I just can't get used to calling you that. I'm sorry.
It's really hard sometimes, yeah.
APM? It doesn't even have
APC.
the same ring.
I still call it that.
But then I just
APM.
go with AM, PM.
AMP?
I just now changed your name in my phone like a week ago.
I haven't changed it. I'm refused.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Are your initials still APC in the computer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, but then your name pops up, the correct
Yeah.
name. For all of you who don't know, Allie got married a
Last
while
year.
ago. But we're having a hard time letting go of your maiden name. It's almost as if we were Allie Cook and can't get rid of the maiden name.
Well, that's how you met her, and so it's just weird.
I mean, I've lived with it my whole life.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like it. I was at the beginning of the alphabet. You know, it was so nice.
You were always picked first in class
Yeah.
because you were
can't
in the
relate.
beginning of the alphabet. Yeah. You're at the very end.
I'm in the process of trying to convince Jacob to take my last name because I love it so much.
Oh my
What's he going to do
gosh.
with that? Is he really going to do it? No, he's totally not.
That is so.
I'm just trying. I
That's
really
different.
like my last name. I might just hyphenate. I just really like my last name. I don't know.
I will say, people have said they
I guess you wouldn't
regretted
get your
hyphenating.
Mine's
That's
not,
a lot of work.
Mine's not super long.
Well,
Could you
that's
imagine
true.
having your children being like FAUGHN hyphen ALL?
Mine sounds good though.
Children
hyphenated.
probably not even going to be writing at that point. They're all just going to be speaking into devices.
oh,
for
right.
sure.
Okay, don't get me started.
Sad. Okay.
All right, so we're so happy to have you guys on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love it.
Yeah.
We, just excited that you're here and ready for your entertaining answers and remarks. It's another daytime episode, which
Yes.
we're
Is
all.
this like the new normal?
I think it's starting to become that
I like
because
it.
it's like daytime.
I had to have a snack.
You already
I'm
ate
already
snack.
hungry.
Okay,
I know, I
well,
need a snack. I need a Pop-Tart.
okay. The hunger
Eat the
pains
Pop-Tart.
still persist, regardless of the time of the podcast. We have to mention though that the Veterinary Roundtable is hitting like 10,000 downloads on
Wow.
the what did
It has.
It
hit
has hit.
10,000.
Yay!
10,000 downloads
exciting.
on what, TikTok or something? Cumulatively.
I don't think. Oh wait, I mean clips of the podcast on TikTok. Hi.
Yes, that's
Did you
pretty
hear that?
crazy.
We're successful.
It is pretty
Okay.
crazy.
Downloads.
That is a lot.
That's really awesome.
No. 10,000.
100K.
Yeah, that's a
We'll
lot.
get there.
That's a lot.
It's
That's a
still a
lot.
big number.
That's right. Exactly. We'll get there.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Do you want to read the special message that we got?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
This is so cool.
Before we get started, we want to share a special message that we received last week. This individual is from Japan and saw our viral video of Randy, our clinic cat. And so I will read what she put on her comment. So, hello, I'm Mizuku from Japan. I watched the video of Randy, the cat you guys have at the hospital. He is so sweet. I had a cat too, but he went to heaven this April. He and Randy are very similar in appearance, and watching Randy's video makes me feel strange and tender.
We're thinking that has to do with
yeah.
translation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for saving my heart in a faraway country. I just wanted to tell you that. I wish you guys and Randy lots of happiness.
That just
So
gave me chills.
sweet. Aw, it's so nice.
That's
That is so
awesome that it can
nice.
reach that far and have an impact on someone. That's so cool.
He's changing lives.
You're
See,
changing
social media
lives
can be good.
one pet at a time.
Yeah.
Little Rand.
Little Rand.
Well, Randall.
Not really little, but
Yeah,
we're
he's
trying to
on
shrink
a
his
diet
waist.
I was going to say
Yeah.
they started their diet today.
Exactly. To the
He's not
person
happy.
who spoke about Randy's body image,
Body shaming.
body shaming on thing. Just so you know, we do know that he's a little bit heavy, and it's just because everyone is so happy to see him that they give him treats. We have smacked said hands and have put him on a diet.
Him and his brother went on a diet this
And in
morning.
his defense, he has trouble eating.
He does have trouble
He bobs
eating.
his head,
He
and then
does.
some of the food makes it in his mouth, and some of it
Rarely.
doesn't.
Well, I think the point would be clearly enough is making it in his mouth.
yeah, probably.
His brain isn't fully developed, so he can't ration well, so he just
There we go.
engorges himself.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
It was pretty funny this morning. He wouldn't eat. He was put him in a cage. And so Kayla was like, he needs his food up front. I put the bowl in front of his face around 9, and he went crazy for the food. He looked at me, looked at the bowl, and just mowed down.
Oh my gosh. That's so cute.
Hey.
So food has been removed from the front from them.
Yep.
Yes.
Back.
We
Although
hid
Randy will
food.
probably have to eat up front because he is special, and that is where he
He's
eats.
spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so be it.
Or we can just train him.
We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. Okay. So,
Icebreakers?
icebreakers. What's your favorite scent?
I feel like this question is very dependent if you're talking about like car scent, house
Yes,
scent,
yes.
perfume,
Oh, interesting.
because
Okay.
across the board it's all different.
See, mine is the same for everything except perfume, I think.
Except for what?
Perfume.
Oh, perfume.
What would you say? You
I
go
like
first.
lemon or cinnamon.
For perfume?
No, like
No,
She smells like a cookie. Jacob's like, woo.
no, like for like my house or like my car, lemon and cinnamon's like, I really like apple too, but those are like, ooh.
I feel like those can all be.
But then like
overpowering, but
perfume,
they're okay.
I cannot stand like florally flower scents.
Like grandma scents.
Yeah, and I don't.
Hopefully
and I
nobody
don't-
wears those here. Sorry.
I
if
don't
you
like
did.
warm scents either, like the
What is
sugar
considered a
cookie,
warm? Oh,
like
okay.
type things, or like warm vanilla.
Did you put on you?
I don't
Yeah,
like
so
that.
what do you wear?
ew.
No,
yeah.
I don't like that as like a perfume, and I don't like that as like a little scentsy thing for like your house.
Well, I like the sugar cookie or something.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't.
that's
I don't
my
like
favorite.
those.
For your scent for your house.
Yeah. Or like fall scents or
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't like the warm vanillas and
I
sugar
like the
cookies.
vanillas for everything.
It's not my
for
thing.
everything.
Even
Yeah.
stuff you put on your body.
Probably. I am wearing a florally perfume right now. So
What is it?
I just get like sheet perfume, and it's like peach sunrise actually.
Peach
To be
sunrise.
specific.
I wear Dolce and Gabbana, light blue.
Oh,
It is my favorite.
She smells so good all the time.
Okay, I don't even know what any of these
Yeah,
are.
know my
I don't even know the
fave.
last time
Yeah,
I
that's
wore
why I like
perfume.
dog.
I wear it if I remember.
Yeah.
I'll have to let you smell Dolce.
Okay.
I
She
just
smells
wear it to
good.
mask the smells here.
So that you can smell good even though you smell bad. Like
Yeah.
meaning like you like in your immediate
Yeah.
like whatever zone, you can smell yourself, which smells good, but then all those around you you smell bad. Okay, never mind.
Also, disclaimer, I will say, we probably understand that we're not supposed to wear strong perfumes here because it can mess with the animals' noses. Just how to say that.
Mine wears off before
Yeah.
I get here.
Yeah, I
wears
can't-
off in the
yeah.
car.
I can never smell mine.
That's why, like, I feel like cologne, like for men, theirs lasts all day, and women's you have to reapply like 17 times. Does anybody else feel like no?
Sometimes. I don't know. I feel like now
I
I'm
feel like
immune. I
guys'
can't
stuff
smell
is
it, but other
stronger.
people around me can smell it.
I feel
Yeah.
like perfume was like a big thing a long time ago, but you guys are bringing it back. Maybe it's like
I feel
never
Like
gone
bell
away.
bottoms and overalls.
Right. I feel like I can smell my
I have pair of
deodorant more than my
overalls.
perfume.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You what'd you say?
I can smell my deodorant more than my perfume.
Yeah.
You can smell
But
your
maybe it's
deodorant
because it's
more
like
than
in
your
a
perfume.
It's because you're
sweaty area.
sweating.
Yeah, it's
so if
like
you wore like an
emitting.
oil-based perfume or like the roll-ons,
Yeah.
I've heard like when you start to sweat or something, like then it brings out the smell.
I don't like
Interesting.
I don't like the roll-ons.
Like if you like dab it on
Yeah.
your neck, like
Yeah.
back in the day. Ugh.
Aren't you just supposed to like and walk through it?
I give a few good squirts.
Exactly what I do. It's like
Yes.
a movie every morning in my house. And then I frolic through it.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Richie still does that.
I gotta say, I do too. Or if I just have a piece of clothing, I'll put it on the bed and just.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I do that sometimes. Like when I go to the gym, I'll just like spray my scrubs and then
See, I do
Sure.
like when Richie wears cologne or whatever, and then his clothes smell like it. That smells good.
Yeah, Jacob can't be in the bathroom spraying my perfume.
'Cause then he
sensitive
smells
to
like it?
smells. Yeah. And he says like, I have a headache. Like, it's not that bad. But I have to
like,
warn him before I do it.
I kind of like to spray it, not like directly on my hair, but like right here, because I feel like my hair carries most of the scent, you know, like shampoo and all that. So I spray my hair.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get some stuff and
So-
start spraying.
Yeah. What's your
I think you
favorite
smell
scent?
great.
Yeah, what's yours?
I don't know. I live in a fraternity, so it's Old Spice.
My
That's not
dad,
bad.
I use Old Spice deodorant occasionally. 'Cause
Yes.
men's deodorant's better than
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
I agree. Old
And my
Spice is a
dad
good
has
one.
used Old Spice for as long as I can remember.
But what kind of Old Spice? Old Spice has different scents.
They do.
All of them are great.
There's Bear Claw. There's I'm trying to think of
Swagger. is
Swagger.
another one.
Yeah,
That
Swagger
one's
is good. Yeah. Yep. I don't know what I'm currently using. I don't know. There's like 5 sticks in the thing, and
That's
so
your
then
You
favorite
just
scent.
use whichever
I just
one.
grab one.
Communal deodorant.
What? Yeah, well, no, just Richie and I, not the boys. The boys have their own Old Spice in their bathroom,
That's good.
but
I think it's so overpowering.
Old Spices.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
I like the deodorant for sure. When I
It gets
played
that
sports.
spray stuff too that you walk through.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that was a lot of scent talk.
Seriously.
Okay.
Did you say what your favorite one was?
Yeah. What was your
You said
favorite one?
Dolce and
You
Gabbana
said,
is
yeah.
the-
For perfume, and then like fall scents for the house.
I do like cinnamon.
Oh, cinnamon for Christmas for sure.
I
And
like
then
fir trees in the house, like at
fir
this time of
trees?
year.
Yeah. Or my car is black ice. I know it's so like mangy,
Johnny likes that.
but
That's what Jacob uses.
I can't have fruity stuff in there. It makes me nauseous.
I just do like the blue one, the original. I don't know what
Clean
it's called.
car smell.
Clean, yeah.
Yeah,
New car
Or
smell.
laundry or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
detergent, something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Harrison, what's your
talk.
favorite scent? None.
That was a huge conversation about
Yeah. Yep.
Should we go on to the second
Let's
one?
do it.
If you could add anyone to Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why? I struggled with this one.
So did I.
Yeah,
I was like,
And I still don't have, like, I don't know.
King. Who did you put? I'm interested.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was like, do I add somebody from like famous person?
That's-
Like
yeah.
movie star? Do you add a historical figure?
Mm-hmm.
Do you add someone from your family? Who do you?
I actually
no
have
idea.
2 answers, I think.
So I couldn't really decide on any one particular person.
me neither, honestly.
I went with another president. I'm just gonna say JFK.
Oh,
I like
interesting.
him.
You like him?
I'm a
Okay.
fan.
Well, that's good choice.
I feel like he fits into the group.
Okay.
So you don't have one?
Good talk.
I'm not a JFK fan because he's a womanizer, but that's just
We're not going to get into
Yeah,
that.
okay.
so. Let's
feel like
see. President wise, oh God, I have no
Well, it doesn't
idea.
have to be a president.
Mrs. Maisel.
Who's
Who?
Mrs. Maisel? Is that the lady who drives the bus?
No.
Oh, that's
That's Miss Fritz or something.
Yeah.
Who's Miss Fritz?
From the magic school?
Magic school.
Oh, the Magic School Bus. She probably deserves to be up there. As
She
many
does.
children as she has educated.
Yeah.
Is she a real person?
I'm gonna have to say no.
I think she's just a made
or did she like?
character.
Is she the person who made the books? Like
Oh, I don't know.
Are they books?
I'm sure there's a redheaded
The Magic
science
School
teacher
Bus?
out there.
I just know the
Books
the
and
show.
the show.
I feel like there's no. Maybe there's
I
not.
loved
books.
that show.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just the Magic Treehouse. There is no Magic School Bus books.
I don't know.
I'm sure there are.
We'll have to
That's
figure
our
that out.
research for tonight.
Devin, that's your research for next
Okay.
podcast.
Is okay.
Miss
Are there
Fritz
books?
an actual person?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna look
And
at.
I
there's
would
books.
also, then I was like, what do you put a sports star up there? That's the other thing. It's like, who do you put
Yeah.
up there? I just couldn't decide.
I say
Who did you
my
say?
my dog, Jeffrey,
Oh,
because he's just amazing. He just made everyone stay happy. So if they could look up on rocks and see his face, I mean,
maybe they'd be happy.
seriously. And
I like it.
if I was choosing like a person, I would choose Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
He's just such an icon, and one of his goofy faces on it.
Oh
I
my
don't
god,
know.
yes, that
Yeah.
would make
He's
people
just
laugh.
that would make someone smile too.
Yeah.
But
Where
I
is
went
Mount
with Jeffrey.
Rushmore?
Where?
Yeah. I think I've looked it up before, but I don't remember.
Ooh.
Is it in the U.S.?
Yes, it's west.
Never eat soiled wheat that way.
What?
I'm just kidding. I don't know which way I'm
Mine is
facing.
never eat soggy waffles.
Yeah. Same.
No, it's
I think it's like Washington.
it is in South Dakota.
Let's all guess, and I think he's looking. Oh,
Right?
You might be right.
Yes,
Yeah.
because Kristi Noem is the governor of South Dakota, and she had a huge event at Mount Rushmore. That's the only reason I remember that.
Bam.
And it was like a 4th of July thing, so it was like
South
really
Dakota?
cool. It was like
Nice.
Darn.
fireworks behind Mount Rushmore. I've never been there. I'd like to go, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
That in Alaska. I don't know why.
I have a really funny story about Mount Rushmore. but
Did
I'll
you
save it
go?
for another time? No.
You haven't been? No.
Mm.
Yeah. I think those things are so, until you see them in person, it's like Yellowstone, like the
Mhm.
geyser thing.
You don't
and-
realize
Yeah.
how magical
yeah,
it is.
like the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon, like all those
Yeah.
things, like you see them in books and pictures and stuff like that. But
It's a
then
lot
until you
different
can
in
like
person.
actually see it, it probably is
Pictures
way
don't
more
do it
awe-inspiring.
justice.
I
Yeah.
went to Zion National Park, and that even was a lot different in
Is
person.
that one in Arizona?
Utah?
Utah.
Yeah.
But does it have the red rocks too? Or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a few hours.
Ugh. I would love to do
Yeah.
a trip.
I know.
Throw the dogs in the RV.
My best friend just did the route what is it, Route
66?
Route 66?
Yeah, she just did that, her and her family
Oh, wow.
in an RV, and she said it was amazing.
Isn't
Yeah.
that like up the West Coast?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Gosh, gas
I'd
is so
love to do that.
expensive. Ooh.
that was her family vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, who would
What
you add
does-
to Mount Rushmore?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'm with King. I don't know if it should be someone famous. I mean, Jim Carrey's a good one. You just picture his goofy faces up there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just
Could
I
add
don't
your
know.
dog.
Yeah, I could. Add the whole fam up there. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one. I read that question and it stumped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things I could think
Yeah.
of.
All right. Well, we'll move on from Mount
Riveting.
Rushmore. Case collections. It is. Allie,
Oh,
do you want to go first?
sure.
Okay.
I have some notes.
Okay.
So do I.
So mine is about a dog named Mika. She's an 8-year-old lab mix. She came in probably at the beginning of November. The owners had just moved here. She is a therapy dog, a veteran therapy dog, and they don't spend a lot of time apart. So it was really difficult when they moved here, new move. She had increased thirst. She had lost some weight, lethargic, not super active. And so when they brought her in, we did have to hospitalize her, placed her on fluids. We did find out she did have diabetes. After insulin therapy, fluid therapy, she did get to go home. But what was really fun about that is her owner is ex-military. He was a veteran. And she got to go home on Veterans Day.
Oh, that's really cool.
And someone called and donated to the bill.
$500
It was so
anonymously.
sweet.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was the one who discharged her, so I checked him out. And I was telling them that this morning because I was telling them I could not. I started crying in the room, like I was holding back tears because I was like, "Happy Veterans Day! Someone donated, and your dog's going home." And they were just so happy to see each other, like because he needs her and she needs him. It was really,
Right.
it was
Oh, that's so
amazing.
cute.
They're just very nice people. And
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
so she is now doing better. She's getting regulated. Of course, she's new to insulin, but she was just seen not too long ago, and she was doing
She's
good.
doing well.
Her curve was really good. So
Oh my gosh, that's so great. What a cool story.
Aw.
just restores faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Really? That is so neat.
It was really cool.
I wonder how they knew about her. Maybe it was like a family friend.
Because I had told them that. I said it was someone anonymous, and they're like, nobody knows we're here.
Yeah.
Like he said it might have been his brother, maybe, but they didn't
Yeah.
tell anyone she was at the vet, and they were new here, so they don't know.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Very, 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 very cool. Yep, definitely. Great story. Good job, Allie.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna kill it.
Okay. Literally. Okay.
Okay, so Dr. Duckwell and I had a 3-year-old doggy day Bordeaux come in, and that's just a really big, beefy dog. He's probably 140 pounds, 150 pounds. He's a big dude. But the owner was originally going to bring him in later in the day as a regular appointment for he was kind of acting off. So I decided to call her and have him come in early just because we'd run and get him in early in case he needed workup stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I called owner. Her presenting complaints were he wasn't eating as well. So his eating had just decreased slightly. He wasn't drinking as much water as he normally does. He dry heaved twice within a couple days. And then she said his breathing might be labored, might not. So then she dropped him off. He came in. He wasn't vomiting or coughing. So then he was kind of just hanging out in the back with me, cause Dr. Duckwell was finishing up in surgery and then she was going to come back and look at him. And while he was here, he came in, he was wagging his tail, happy to see everybody, going up to everyone, greeting everybody. But the longer he was back in treatment, I was just kind of watching him and I noticed his breathing was a little off, definitely labored. He had some abdominal effort with his breathing while he was panting. And then I looked in his mouth and his tongue and gums were a purple color, which is not normal. It means they're not oxygenating well. They're supposed to be pink. So then I started thinking about GDV because he is a very, very big, large dog. And so I had Dr. Jones come and just listen to his heart, and she could not hear anything. She couldn't hear his lungs, couldn't hear his heart. So then she popped an ultrasound probe on him, and we found a ton of fluid in his chest. So he had pleural effusion. So that then we we did a thoracocentesis, and that's where you pull fluid off the chest. We got 1,300 mils off the left side only. just to try to help stabilize him while we called the owner and came up with a plan. And we pulled all that off, and then we put the ultrasound back on. It looked like we had done nothing. It didn't even make a dent. So then Dr. Duckwall and I called around to ER facilities to see, like, get quotes and stuff like that to see how much it would be to work him up and hospitalize him. And after talking to the owner, she decided to humanely euthanize him because the price, I mean, the workups were going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and to put him through that, they weren't comfortable doing that. So we had to euthanize him, but it was just weird because he came in, which, I mean, for us, we could see the, like, red flags, but to an owner, I mean, he looked like he felt okay. He just had a couple little things off about him. So it's just that those are scary situations, but.
And he was only 3?
Yep. 3 years and 5 months old.
Yeah.
But he's also a large breed.
Giant breed, right?
Yeah.
So those dogs sometimes tend to have more issues than.
And shorter lifespans. And yeah, it's hard. Oh.
It was really, really sad, but they loved him a lot. It just would have taken a lot to, and we don't need, I mean, even if you take them to a facility to get diagnostics, there's a reason there's fluid in the chest. So even if you take it all off and fix it for a short period of time, it might come back. There's some kind of disease process there that's
nothing good causes, pleural effusion.
Yeah, it was sad, but they got to hang out with him for a little bit. So, and he was very
lots
loved.
Of treats.
Yeah, he was very, very loved.
Some chocolate.
Well, my case is a dog I saw on an annual, a 10-year-old dog, that a female spayed dog, mixed breed, that I saw on an annual. And on physical exam, the dog had a oral mass, and it was kind of back by the upper right molar in the back. It was, probably the size of no bigger than a nickel, but just big enough that you could see it, like when you were just checking everything, when you're doing just a regular oral exam. And so the owner didn't know it was there. No idea it was there. Because the dog's not clinical, eating fine, drinking fine, perfectly happy. We always get concerned anytime we see fleshy masses in the oral cavity because it can be an indicator of cancer, whether it be benign or malignant. And so he scheduled a time for her to come back in. Her lab work was all normal. And the next step was to bring her back in order to further evaluate that area in the back of her mouth. And so we brought her in and anesthetized her, and then were able to get a better look at that mass in the back of her mouth. And so on presentation with sedated oral exam, we could actually get underneath the mass. So it looked more pedunculated than what it did in the exam room, because obviously in the exam room, you can't hold their mouth open and then take a Q-tip and go underneath it. The dog's not going to sit there and let you do that. And so you could actually see that there was like a ledge underneath the mass that you could kind of get around. And so Dr. Cloud and I then were more optimistic because we thought, okay, maybe this is just an epulus. It's a large epulus. Maybe it's just been flattened over time because she's chewing on it or whatever. So Cloud took x-rays, and we did a regular core procedure, but then the pedunculated area was definitely associated with one tooth. And that's typically what happens with an epulus. It usually arises from a particular tooth and tooth root area. So we were able to remove that tooth because that's the treatment choice.
Sorry.
He's licking
He's eating the camera.
So the treatment choice for an epulus is to actually have to remove the tooth. So you can remove the mass, but it will regrow unless you remove the tooth. So we assumed it was probably an epulus just based on its location and how the pedicle was going down to the tooth root, and then removed the tooth associated with it. And it came back and it was an epulus. And so, dog cured.
Cool.
So he went from thinking something was really bad, or potentially could be really bad to, we were able to cure the dog, and
that's awesome.
It was just a space occupying mass. I mean, it was eventually going to cause trouble to the dog because he would chew on it or would bleed, things like that. So he was really happy about that. I know.
Happy ending.
It was a good happy ending. Yeah.
Well, my case is a corgi who came to us as a second opinion for some pretty severe skin infections. She has a pretty bad skin infection on all of her legs, and it's starting to spread up to her body and around her eyes. She's just very uncomfortable. So the previous vet did an antibiotic and a steroid, which made her more comfortable. But then once the medication course was over, she kind of relapsed and became uncomfortable again. So she came to us, and we took a new sample of her skin, and there was a lot of bacteria underneath the microscope. So we restarted her on that antibiotic and steroid, and also sent home some antiseptic mousse. And then we rechecked her 2 weeks later, and unfortunately there was still a lot of bacteria. So we actually did a skin culture to see if she had any resistance to the antibiotics. And in the meantime, we just continued that antibiotic and steroid and mousse, and then the culture came back positive for some resistance. So we changed the antibiotic, and then checked her a couple weeks later after that, and there's finally less bacteria. There is still quite a bit, but she's finally getting more comfortable, and we're continuing this antibiotic, switched her over to a shampoo instead of the mousse, continuing the steroid, and sent home instructions for a bleach spray solution. But this poor girl has just been so uncomfortable for like over a month. And I'm happy that we're finally making her feel a little bit better. So stay tuned for like 2 weeks from now. She's coming back in.
Okay.
I'm excited to see.
Yeah, antibiotic resistance. We're seeing more and more of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, you'll have to update us in 2
Yeah,
weeks and
for
let us
sure.
know.
Yeah.
The bleach spray is a way of using topical therapy to kill resistant, typically it's staph pseudointermedius that grows, that's resistant to our cephalosporins and some of our other common antibiotics. And so the bleach, though, will kill it. And so it's a bit of a nuisance, but it's a nice way of topically training the pet to get rid of the topical infection versus oral therapy. So, yeah. You did hear us correctly. We did say bleach.
Yes.
Some
It's
people are
not
like,
just straight
what?
bleach.
Yeah, it's a 1 to 10 dilution.
Diluted.
Spray.
Did you ever update the podcast on that histopath you sent in about the dog with the quill in it? The porcupine pine?
The porcupine. No, well, I don't know if we did or not, because it just shows, the histopathology just showed pyogranulomatous inflammation. So like just inflammation.
I don't
They could
remember. I
not
haven't-
see foreign material in it.
I was just thinking about that because you said she's going to have to follow up, so I was just curious.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you could, the only thing I can think of is that the body kind of walls off those areas, and then that channel that quill's traveling through, basically creates that inflammation. And so then we're removing it.
Yeah.
The histopathologist couldn't find foreign material. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. We didn't
Yeah.
send off the entire section of tissue.
Right.
So I don't know.
That was
The
a
world
crazy
will
one.
never know.
Yeah, quills are just difficult things.
Did you hear that, Quill?
He's sleeping.
Exactly. Oh gosh. Okay, so good cases, you guys. All right. On to our listener question. This week says, what are your thoughts on raw feeding? At Riza_and_Gibbs. Did I say that right? You guys are laughing at me.
Yeah. It's just funny you just said it all out.
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so what are your thoughts on raw feeding? Oh boy.
Don't do it.
Let the hate
good
begin. Yeah, do not feel raw. Do not feed raw feeding diets. Now, I will say, in today's world, there are commercial raw feeding formulas. So at least there's some tracking that can occur, like versus before when people would just throw raw meat
Yeah.
down.
Chicken foot.
Yeah.
But you
Don't just go off on your own and throw some.
So I think there's some accountability at least, like where you could then track, like an outbreak of some sort. Having said that,
Salmonella.
yeah, I do not. We do not, and the AVMA doesn't, which is our governing body, does not recommend feeding raw food. So you guys, what are some of the reasons why we as a group don't recommend feeding raw?
Salmonella. For sure.
E. coli.
Okay.
If those things can make your dog ill, but your animal can also shed that bacteria in your household and make you ill.
Yeah. So I mean, the raw feeding the raw meat itself, Listeria, Salmonella, E. coli. I mean, if people aren't decontaminating correctly, then they take that bacteria and then they transmit it around the house
all over the place. Yeah.
So like pregnant women, shouldn't be feeding raw, formulas to their dogs. immunocompromised people shouldn't be feeding raw. You know, so I think people think that it's all just about the dog, but you're right. It's also about the people, you know, protecting the people as well.
And I feel like if you wouldn't eat it, you shouldn't feed it to your dog. Like a chicken foot.
I mean, maybe some people do eat chicken. Kudos to you, but
Yeah, I think that, you know, all of the warnings that are on raw food, like our meat sources and our, you know, that includes chicken, beef, whatever the meat source might be. I mean, on their labels, they say, you know, not for raw consumption, you know, beware of this, this, and this. I mean, all of those things apply to our dogs as well.
Yeah.
And so I do think that if you are wanting to feed a raw formula, then you really should go through a veterinary nutritionist. So balanceit.com is a website that has resources on it, but then also there are board certified veterinary nutritionists that can then help you formulate a recipe that then doesn't lack nutrition, because that can be an issue with some of the raw formulas if you're not feeding correctly or you're not supplementing correctly.
Or maybe some people that do feed raw diets, maybe they're like, well, wolves out in the wild do it, but your dog is also domesticated for like very long down the line domesticated. So they don't process things probably the same and stuff like that too. Yeah. Maybe people don't think about that.
Yeah,
so, I mean, go ahead.
I would say also like foreign body. Like I remember we had a puppy who ate like an entire chicken femur.
Oh yeah.
It was
and
huge.
he was very, very ill, and he came in. He ended up, luckily we didn't have to do surgery, but he vomited up an entire femur.
I mean, it was
like
it was
head of a femur.
large.
It was crazy.
And they were feeding a raw diet.
And so you have to definitely be careful if you're going to feed like chicken feet and things like that. Like they can become,
the bones are not good for their internals.
they can't digest them. That's for sure. Not as well.
Yeah.
Well, depending on what kind of bone, I guess.
Yeah. I think that there's just too many good food sources out there that keeps you from having to assume the risk of feeding raw, you know, to not only your pet, but then to yourself. So I think, you know, it's just not worth it.
It's also very
expensive. It's expensive. You really need to have all separate feeding, preparing trays. Like, I mean, everything needs to be separate. Like, so I mean, it's a lot.
Time
it's a
consuming,
lot.
expensive. It's just a lot to do.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
It is time for Allie to eat. So yeah, I mean, I think that's our thought about it.
Yeah. And honestly, like if you think about it, like I know I'm not the best. Like I'll admit, like I don't wash the bowls like every single day after every single feeding. Like I can't imagine if you're feeding raw, how much bacteria and grossness. Like if you didn't really super deep clean.
Yeah.
Ick.
Yeah, because they talk about, and I think the FDA actually did a study. It was in the early 2000s or right before 2000, where they surveyed like 196 foods looking for bacteria, and the ones that had the highest bacterial contamination were the raw formulas.
Yeah.
So, and I think they have the percentages for salmonella and listeria, but I mean, it was a decent percent of the diets had, you know, those bacteria. Wow. So, I mean, you know, that is in your sink, that's on your countertops, that's on.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people that do the raw diets have like the bowls with like the patterns in it to slow them down. And I know that you're not cleaning out all those grooves after they eat, and then it just sits there and gets gross and not good for the dog.
So I don't think that it's, you know, the horrible devil that we make it out to be, but I also don't think it's the best thing to be feeding either, you know. So I think that it can be done correctly, but it takes work for it to be done correctly.
Yeah, consult a professional.
Yeah, so definitely consult. Yeah. Nutrition sites, a veterinary board certified nutritionist, you know, before you go out and do it.
Yeah. And I would say if you are feeding that, let your veterinarian know. Because there are certain things that we need to do to ensure that
they can shed bacteria.
Yeah, so it's not spread around the clinic.
That too.
Or if we have someone that's pregnant dealing with that pet, you want to make sure you're wearing gloves and really making sure.
Dogs that come in on raw diets who wear gloves.
Yeah.
Just in case.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, hopefully we answered the question. If there's something else about that you would like to know, please let us know. We can also put some extra information at the bottom of the podcast, some links to give you additional information as well. So I guess that's it for us for today, guys.
Bam.
Sad.
I'm hungry.
Now you're on to your regular work day. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable. Remember, send in those questions and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at All Star Veterinary Clinic. If you enjoyed this episode or a previous episode, leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice. We'll see you in a few weeks for the next episode of the Veterinary Roundtable. Thanks, guys, for joining us. See you next time.